Hey everybody, how you doing? Well, guess who's back? Tom Brady. That's right, Tom Brady. Tom Brady has returned and he was guiding the Buccaneers to be in the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. You got Patrick Mahomes, Lee Steinberg's client, and I might add with Tom Brady, who has Ron Jones as his running back, who is also Lee Steinberg's client. So, hey, who's the winner in all this? Lee Steinberg. Not bad. Anyway, uh, who will win? I went back and forth on this since it became apparent with about roughly 5 minutes into the game of the NFC Championship that the that clearly um, the first Buccaneers going to be in a contest, and then it became clear to me when it was the Chiefs. And over my life, I bet against Tom Brady too many times. And I say it just like that with some discomfort because I'm a person who believes in systems. In this case, offensive and defensive and special teams football systems, plays, as you call them. And I believe that the system is as important as the person. Tom Brady has taught us today, or me in particular, that the individual is just as important as the system. Some would say more so. But I say that what the Buccaneers have done is special. And it's my only objection the entire season has been that what they did with Tom Brady, they didn't do with Jameis Winston. I've said this again and again and again. They threw Jameis Winston into an offense that was poorly designed because it caused receivers to run their patterns too deep with respect to the amount of time the offensive line was getting, and they weren't properly timed so that Winston would throw a completion as opposed to the likelihood of interception. So what happened when Tom Brady came in? As I said Tom Brady would not win in Bruce Arians' offense. Tom Brady had to drastically change that offense in order to win. And that's precisely what, by Bruce Arians' own admission, he allowed him to do. In other words, he allowed Tom Brady the luxury of putting in a shorter passing game offense. Now, you would shoot back and say, wait a minute, Zinni. They have taken more downfield shots than any other team. There's a difference between throwing fly patterns or wheel routes and waiting for your receiver to go 15 to 18 yards downfield and then break. When you do that, you're actually taking away from your receiver's speed ability, and you're making him just like any other receiver. You're saying, hey, look, 115 yards downfield and then turn. And so if the person is not running the pattern in such a way as to shake the defensive back, like turn in and then turn out toward the sideline so you get an advantage, it produces a pickoff. If you're giving the receiver an option, whereas to turn out if the defender turns in and then turn in if the defender turns out, what happens if the defender fakes you? Then it's an interception. Those scenarios I just mentioned happened again and again and again to Jameis Winston last year. They almost happened to Tom Brady, and they did on a couple of occasions early on in the season. But Tom said, hey, look, I cannot work with this. And Bruce, unlike what he might have said to Jameis, said, fine, we'll change it. It's your offense. That was the magic key. They were willing to tailor their offense to what Tom Brady could do well and could not do well. They were not willing to tailor their offense to what Jameis Winston could do well and could not do well. That's the only difference between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers of this year and the year before. Yes, Tom Brady has more experience than Jameis Winston, no question about it. But on your coaching staff is supposed to know enough to at least have a system of thinking that will get you the completions you need and the kind of offensive performance you need to win, right? And yet, they didn't do that. And Bruce Arians basically admitted he just sits back and doesn't coach. Didn't give Byron Leftwich any credit whatsoever, who's the offensive coordinator. And so when I feel sorry for Byron and all of this because he's forgotten. He is the offensive coordinator. But having said all that, I have to say this. What Tom Brady was allowed to do was bring what he would have done in New England to and with adjustments, with modernized approaches to Tampa. And as a result, we see more fly patterns, more wheel routes, more what I call speed route patterns because they have the speedster receivers to run them. And now they have Antonio Brown, which I believe will be better for the Super Bowl. We're back to normal for the Super Bowl. Let's see what happens. So it's for all of that. And the fact that when the Chiefs did beat the Bucs, it was by 3 points. Even though Patrick Mahomes threw 462 yards of total offense. But I want to show you something with respect to what I think the Buccaneers will not do and will do. And it goes, this is from NFL Game Pass. And as you can see here, this is the last time that the pair of organizations faced each other. And this was on week 12 of the NFL season. The game that the Chiefs, won by 3 points in Tampa at the same place. Now, take a look here. When we have this formation, I show this formation for a particular reason, because it's tight. You see how the receivers are basically, if you were to adjust them, let's say right now you can see that they're on the right hash mark or the hash mark that's closest to us, right? If they were in the center, the widest receivers would be out to the numbers. This was before in the activation of Antonio Brown. This was when the Bucs were at 7-5, and people were questioning whether or not they could really get to the playoffs, let alone win games. And the Chiefs won this game. And so they're a different team now. They have a 5-wide package which they'll use. They have a place where they understand that they don't have to be so tight and heavy in their passing approach. They can be versatile. They can rely more on their running game to control the clock. And I think more important than anything else, they have more confidence in each other. So that's why I believe that the Buccaneers are going to come out of this with a win. On top of the fact that it is at home, it's the first Super Bowl at home. They're going to be sky high, especially on defense, and that's going to give them that additional adrenaline rush and speed to play against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, that doesn't mean the Kansas City Chiefs are going to fall down and play dead whatsoever. No, the Kansas City Chiefs' edge is simply in what, and I mean what Andy Reid will come up with schematically to take advantage of what the Bucs do, their injuries, and also try plays that they didn't try before. But look, when your offense has racked up 462 yards passing the last time you played each other, and that was the same season, look, there isn't too much in the next game that you're not going to do that didn't work before. The question is, how can the Bucs defense overcome what they did? First of all, before I get to that, let me run this play real quick for you so that you can see what the outcome of this one was. This is NFL, as I said before, this is NFL Game Pass, and here's the plays I run it. And note, everybody's tight in together, right? And then they scrunch even tighter. You're not going to see that in the Super Bowl. You're not going to see a situation where the Bucs are flirting with interceptions with these tight window places for Brady to throw. Not at all. See how tight that was? That was the same play from the end zone in. You're not going to see that. So it's 4th down and 2, and they have to punt. So let's say they're punting. And let's get the punt out of the way and then go 1st and 10 here. Let's go back. Yeah. Here's the Bucs again. Actually, that's a screen that occurred before the other play. So let's go back to here. We had 4th and 2, and then let's go over to the Kansas City side and see what Patrick Mahomes and company did that was right. This is 1st and 10 on the 22 in the end of the first quarter. And this is one of the number of plays where Patrick Mahomes just completely scorched. Look at that. That quick release, that turn for a first down. And as you can see, when Mahomes takes the snap and he drops back, you see how he looked from to the left and he threw back to Travis Kelce on the right? That's devastating, okay? That is absolutely devastating. And then they'll lined up tight. This is going to be a run for them, and there it is, which the Bucs do stop. I don't anticipate we're going to see too many of these formations at all, and I think the Buccaneers are going to be attacked by a no huddle, in zone, sideline to sideline, end around, and reverse and trick play attack that keeps them off balance. Because why? Because the Buccaneers defense is fast, and you need to do that to keep them off balance. Here, you see how they spread them out 5 wides? We're going to see a lot more of that. With Mahomes back to throw and getting room for his, in this case, Travis Kelce, his tight end to run. This is a hallmark of the Chiefs offense. There's no reason why they have to run away from this, no pun intended, and every reason why they can stick with it. It's gotten them this far. What compelling reason is it for them to change? There's none. I think what you'll see less of are plays like, well, you're not going to see too much of that pistol because the Buccaneers are successful at blitzing it. I think what you're going to see, I mean, just take a look at how the Bucs have given them 7 in the box, and they had no one up front to stop Suh. I think what you're going to see are more rollouts. You're not going to see Mahomes, be a sitting duck too often there. That's not going to happen a lot. They're very much concerned about closing that pass pocket. And here's another example. But you see, the Buccaneers, it doesn't take a genius to see the Buccaneers defense was being stretched out and then strafed to death. Again and again and again. Where this could go wrong for the Buccaneers is where this could go wrong for the Buccaneers is if the Chiefs decide to go no huddle and then employ this attack. If they do, what I predict as a Bucs win would quickly turn into a Chiefs win, because the Bucs can wear you down. The Bucs can be worn down on defense with that approach, combined with Mahomes passing. That's the key. If they don't do this, they would be taking away from their own speed and their own natural ability to wear defenses down by not going no huddle. If they do go no huddle, game over. If they don't go no huddle, I strongly assert that the Buccaneers will win the contest. So, and I think that's the key difference from a strategic perspective. And as we keep going through here, let's go back down to 2nd and 12 for Mahomes. I mean, the defense was just basically playing a drill, okay? Look at how the Chiefs would use motion to spread out the Buccaneers' defense, with Mahomes going back to throw, and this is one I showed you before with Kelce. So let me go further here in the drive, where we're looking at a 1st and 10, the ball on the 34-yard line of the Buccaneers. And here the Chiefs go into their double tight play action. But notice, even with play action, and this was incomplete, what do? They try to do a high-low where they have Kelce, basically he goes in motion And then when he does go out to throw right here after the play action fake, he becomes a second level in the play. Now, if they run this, look for an adjustment to have a third level, the running back on the bottom to go to in the flat. And they would only do this if they believed that the running play would work. But again, also pay attention to the line spacing and the splits. See how wide they are, and yet they're able to, with play action, move the line to the left, give the offensive lineman to get a hat-on-hat opportunity for each defender, and then give Patrick Mahomes time to throw, which for his case doesn't take much at all. An exciting offense combined with his pinpoint passing. This is going to be the constant of Super Bowl 54. The wild card, the true wild card, will be what Tom Brady does, and what the Buccaneers do when they get the ball for their part. This is going back to Tom Brady, 1st and 10, ball on the 14-yard line. And you see how they have the wide receivers spread out. Expect to see more of this. But what you're not going to see is what looks like a draw play or fake, and that is a draw play. You're not, and it's effective, but you're not going to see that draw play next time they do it. What you're going to see is a throw. And more than likely you will see either a quick out or sideline pattern. They may use the draw, but I seriously doubt that they do in that situation. However, do expect to see them use formations like that to spread out the Chiefs' defense. And again, quick passing, getting the ball out. This is an end zone view of the same play that we saw before. Okay. Now, one thing you have to watch out for in terms of what the Buccaneers defense can do to the Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers defense can do to the Chiefs offense is gain a pass rush. This is what happens if he holds on the ball a little too long. Shaq Barrett. And that's why I also assert that you're going to see Mahomes moving the ball a lot, because they're going to need to get the ball. Let's freeze this for a second, okay? They're going to need to get the ball out and away from Shaq Barrett and the pass rushers. I think the Buccaneers will put Shaq around to counter this. But this pass rush also won the game for the Packers. The Buccaneers have one of the NFL's top-ranked defenses. At one point during the season, it was number 1. All the other organizations that had better defenses are out of the contest. This one remains. This is the best defense standing. So let's see if you got any comments here before I close out. So that's my analysis of what I believe we'll see. I'll make more, but you now understand why my prediction is that this time the Buccaneers will prevail. It's the fact that their passing game is better honed and refined than it was at this point in the season, that their defense is still good, still consistently good. They're at home, and they're the first team to host a Super Bowl in their stadium. So those are the reasons I have. I look forward to any comments you have on this either now or later. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com. If you come right now, don't worry, I'll be back later in the week to talk about more about this. And thank you, and that ends this broadcast.